Guy, you've organised all this. Tell us about the Boilermakers Hump.
Well, it's part of sort of dockyard history that it was the Boilermakers used to come up from the dockyard to come here to watch Pompey, really, and it got the name as Boilermakers Hump. But some of the others probably tell you more the history behind it than I can, because I'm one of the younger ones.
You wouldn't have had the seats there, of course, then.
All terracing in them days.
Better off in those days.
Yeah.
The reason why it initiated all was many years ago. There was no floodlights up here for football, and the main group in the dockyard were Boilermakers because everything was steam. That's why we were the main force in the dockyard. So consequently, Wednesday afternoon, that's when we used to play up, or Pompey used to play up here. Everybody congregated out here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, kick off. We had to get the game over before it got dark.
Right.
And this is where the main contingent got, Boilermakers.
Yeah.
And this is how we got our name, or the Hump got their name.
Was that the Boilermakers got their reputation by about 1890 to 1900. As I say, Portsmouth started in 1898.
Yeah.
And they had got their reputation alongside the navvies, which was mainly the Irish, and that they used to segregate themselves, because in those days nobody washed, nobody changed their clothing, they just kept it on. That was it. And in landladies' windows was a sign saying "No Irish, no Boilermakers, no dogs."
In that order.
In that order, yeah.
But you had to consider that everybody worked on a Saturday morning then. And they would leave the dockyard into the pub until it was around about kick-off time, and then dive up there. And of course they were starting earlier and as the winter nights came in, so they got earlier and earlier.
Was it a relevant name? Did you all get a hump watching Pompey?
No, we had a football team in those days. God gracious me, sir.
When the Boilermakers came in here in about 1890, they were, what were they called? They were salmon pink, weren't they? Their colours, weren't they?
Yeah.
In the early days.
I can't imagine Boilermakers in pink.
Ray Heron heads into the target.
Everything we feel honoured to belong to gradually disappears as people grow up, don't they? The youngsters come along and they don't want to know all about that, do they? With all due respect to them. I mean, I wouldn't want to know about 100 years ago what happened there and then all this.
Not quite 100, but...
So in that respect,
We gradually died out as the warships in the yard slowly got propulsion units were nuclear, diesel and gas turbine, so the trade declined.
Yeah.
So the main propulsion units wasn't steam anymore, not produced by boilers anyway. They gradually declined, and of course eventually we got taken over by a private firm. And that's when we all left. All apart from George.
Well, I say fascinating insight into history, and welcome back today, lads.